pretty stark words from the Lord about Jerusalem. You did not recognize the time of your visitation. That is, the time that God has set and appointed, a time to receive from Him grace, mercy, love, peace. And for us, that time is now, and it's today. We are called to recognize the visitation of God, that God is visiting His people. But He doesn't just visit His people just simply for us to say, well, isn't this nice? He doesn't come to us in the Eucharist for us simply to receive it and then go home and do nothing. Because as we hear, God has made us a kingdom and priests for our God. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody is an ordained priest, but it does mean that we are all called to bring the presence of God into our worldly circumstances. This is how we are called, all the baptized are called, to be priests, to bring the graces that God has given to us in the sacraments, to the world, to our different circumstances, to our family members who don't believe, to our encounters with people at the grocery store, whatever it may be. This is the way that we are made a kingdom of priests who serve our God. And so we want to ask ourselves, do we believe in our priesthood as believers? One of the ways, especially that God has given the baptized a certain priesthood, is to be able to bring the graces of the Holy Spirit to people through the charismatic gifts. This is one of the greatest gifts of the priesthood of the laity, that the laity can go and bring to other people who are outside of the church, the furthest the better, and bring the gifts of healing, of prophecy, of words of knowledge, words of wisdom, specifically to speak into people's circumstances, and then to bridge the gap, that is, to help them to come into the kingdom by experiencing God. Now, many times we're not used to this. We're used to simply, we come to Mass, and that's it. Or we come to Mass, we say some prayers, and that's it. But the Lord is talking to us specifically about what happens if we miss the moment. That's what the Lord is saying to us in the gospel. When we miss the moment, we've been given so many graces through Jesus in the Eucharist, through confirmation, through our baptism, through confession, what have you. And yet, we can sit and simply describe how our world is going to hell in a handbasket, or we can actually say, you know what? God has a plan. Not simply that God has a plan for someone else to do something about it, but God has a plan for each and every single one of us to be bearers of Christ, to be beacons of light, to be salt of the world. This is how Jesus describes us. Jesus, the light of the world, turns to us and He says, you are the light of the world. So if it's dark out there, the question is, why aren't we shining? Why aren't we shining that light? What's going on? Are we just huddling together expecting us to lose? God is raising up a triumphant church, not a church that's going to be beat down. A church that, yes, will know the cross, but will experience the resurrection. And so we ask the Lord today, specifically, to drive home to us the question, how is God calling us to be priestly people, to bring His presence? In what way is He asking us to do that? Not just when we come together here at Mass, It's certainly clear by our praise and our worship here that we are a priestly people. But how is he calling each and every single one of us to do so outside the confines of these walls?